Rasheeda's world was turned upside down in an instant, and fans are still reeling from what unfolded late last night. What started as a seemingly ordinary evening quickly escalated into chaos, leaving emotions raw, friendships shaken, and a family on the brink of collapse. The shocking footage that just leaked online shows the unthinkable. Rasheeda witnessing Kirk and Jasmine together, in a way that nobody could have anticipated. Cameras caught every moment, every gasp, and every heated glance, yet even they couldn't fully capture the intensity of what was happening behind closed doors. It all began when Rasheeda, expecting a quiet night at home, stumbled upon Kirk and Jasmine in a situation that defied explanation. What exactly she saw remains a point of heated speculation among fans, but the reactions speak for themselves. Rasheeda's eyes widened in disbelief, her hands trembled, and her voice, once calm, erupted into a torrent of anger that could be heard throughout the house. Emotions ran high as she confronted them, her words sharp and unfiltered, leaving everyone present, including family and friends, stunned into silence. Social media erupted almost instantly, with fans sharing screenshots, clips, and their own theories about what drove Rasheeda to the edge. Comments poured in from every corner of the internet. "I can't believe she saw that. The betrayal is real." Rasheeda snapped like never before, and countless others expressing their shock and disbelief. Even those who had once doubted the tension between Kirk and Jasmine were forced to face the undeniable truth. Something had been brewing under the surface, and now it had exploded in the most public, dramatic way imaginable. What makes this situation even more explosive is the timing. The family was already walking a tightrope of unresolved tensions, whispered rumors, and private conflicts, and now those pressures reached a breaking point. Friends and loved ones who tried to intervene were met with walls of anger and heartbreak, as Rasheeda unleashed everything she had been holding inside. Every accusation, every pointed remark, and every tear-filled confrontation was a spectacle of raw human emotion, leaving no room for misunderstanding about the depth of her outrage. And just when it seemed that the night couldn't get any more dramatic, a shocking twist added fuel to the fire. Unseen by most, another family member whose presence had been largely in the background stepped forward, delivering a revelation that left everyone frozen. The family was left divided, loyalties tested, and secrets that had been buried for years began surfacing in the most unexpected ways. This is not just a story of betrayal, it is a story of hearts clashing, of trust shattered, and of a family forced to confront truths that many wished had never been revealed. Fans are now desperate for answers. What led Kirk and Jasmine to this moment? How will Rasheeda recover from this shocking betrayal? And more importantly, what does this mean for the family moving forward? The footage has sparked a whirlwind of speculation, turning friends into witnesses, and fans into detectives trying to piece together every detail of the explosive night. One thing is certain, nothing will ever be the same again, and the drama is only just beginning. The tension in the room was palpable, a heavy weight pressing down on everyone present, as Rasheeda's eyes locked onto Kirk and Jasmine in a way that left her breathless and trembling. The moment she saw them together, a mixture of disbelief and fury surged through her. A storm that had been building quietly for weeks, finally breaking loose in a cascade of emotion. Kirk, caught off guard by the intensity of Rasheeda's reaction, tried to step back, to explain, but the words caught in his throat as Rasheeda's voice erupted like thunder, sharp and unrelenting. Jasmine, equally shocked, stood frozen, her hands shaking, unable to comprehend the force of Rasheeda's anger or the sheer magnitude of what had just been revealed. The room, once filled with the casual hum of evening conversation, now seemed like a battlefield, charged with raw, unfiltered emotion, where every glance, every gesture, carried the weight of betrayal and confrontation. "How could you do this?" Rasheeda's voice cracked, a mix of pain and rage that echoed through the walls, demanding answers that nobody seemed ready to give. The words hung in the air, heavy and accusing, and Kirk could only gape, caught between the desire to defend himself and the reality of Rasheeda's unyielding gaze. Jasmine's lips parted as if to speak, but no words came, the silence amplifying the tension, making it almost unbearable. Friends and family who had gathered, expecting a casual night, now found themselves in the middle of a storm they had neither anticipated nor wanted to witness. Emotions ran high as everyone tried to process the scene unfolding before them, some covering their mouths in shock, others whispering hurriedly to each other, and a few daring to step closer, hoping to mediate, to calm the situation before it spiraled further out of control. The chaos escalated quickly, with Rasheeda moving through the room with a force that seemed almost unstoppable. Her accusations spilled out, fast and furious, naming grievances, perceived betrayals, and every moment of hurt that had accumulated silently over time. "I trusted you," she shouted at Kirk, her voice slicing through the air like a knife. "I believed in us, and this is what I get." Kirk's face fell, the weight of her words hitting him harder than he could have imagined. Jasmine, meanwhile, shrank back, feeling the intensity of Rasheeda's glare. Her own guilt and fear intertwining in a way that left her almost paralyzed. The family, already divided on underlying tensions, felt the ripple effects immediately, as whispers and murmurs spread through the room, each person choosing sides, aligning with emotions rather than reason, allowing the drama to swell unchecked. As the confrontation continued, a sudden movement drew everyone's attention. Rasheeda had grabbed Kirk's arm, her grip firm, unrelenting, and he flinched under the pressure, finally finding the courage to speak. "Rasheeda, wait, let me explain," he pleaded, his voice strained, but Rasheeda would not be silenced. "Explain what?" she shot back, her eyes blazing. "How you could just stand there with her, knowing what this would do to me, knowing how this would destroy everything." The words struck like daggers, and the tension in the room thickened, each breath heavy with anticipation. Fans who would later watch the leaked footage described the scene as intense, almost cinematic, as though every emotion had been amplified tenfold, every glance carrying a story, every movement charged with the weight of betrayal. The drama reached a new height when Jasmine, finally finding her voice, attempted to defend herself. "Rasheeda, I didn't mean for you to see it like this," she said, her voice trembling. "It's not what it looks like." But Rasheeda's expression softened only slightly, her rage tempered by shock and confusion. "Not what it looks like," she repeated incredulously, her words dripping with disbelief. "You expect me to believe that? After everything I've seen, everything I've felt? How long has this been going on?" The question hung in the air, heavy and accusatory, leaving Kirk and Jasmine scrambling for words, their explanations faltering under the intensity of Rasheeda's scrutiny. The room seemed to shrink around them, the walls echoing every syllable, amplifying the tension until it was almost suffocating. As the minutes stretched on, the confrontation grew more intricate, with each participant revealing layers of emotion and intent that complicated the situation further. Rasheeda's anger was matched by sorrow, a raw, aching heartbreak that she could not hide, and it made her accusations even more piercing. Kirk, desperate to maintain composure, shifted between pleading and defensive, while Jasmine's nervous energy heightened the sense of unpredictability in the room. Whispers of past betrayals, old misunderstandings, and unresolved conflicts surfaced, each one igniting new sparks in the already combustible atmosphere. The family, once hopeful for a peaceful evening, now found themselves trapped in a maelstrom of tension, watching the drama unfold in real time, unable to look away even as emotions spiraled out of control. Unexpected twists kept the confrontation from ever settling, with Rasheeda revealing private conversations she had overheard, messages she had seen, and signs she had ignored until now. "I knew something was off," she shouted, her voice a mixture of relief and fury. "I just didn't want to believe it, but now it's undeniable." Kirk's face drained of color as the weight of her words hit him, and Jasmine looked like she might collapse. The tension, almost unbearable, every eye in the room was on them, every whispered comment fueling the fire. As the confrontation morphed from anger into a complex, layered exchange of guilt, blame, and revelation, the family's reactions added another layer of drama, some attempting to intervene, others choosing sides, and a few standing silently, taking in the scene with wide eyes. Tensions between members who had remained neutral suddenly surfaced, old rivalries reigniting, and the household atmosphere became electric. A charged storm where alliances shifted in seconds. The drama was heightened by the constant back and forth of accusations and defenses, each statement more emotional and revealing than the last. Every viewer who later saw the leaked footage would remark on the intensity, describing the scene as raw, unfiltered, and almost unbearable to witness, with emotions laid bare in a way that left no room for pretense or restraint. Amidst the chaos, a sudden revelation from a family member in the background shocked everyone present. The words hit like a bombshell, altering the dynamic instantly. What had begun as a confrontation between Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine now expanded to include long-hidden secrets, revealing motives, misunderstandings, and histories that nobody had expected. The room erupted once again, this time with gasps, cries, and murmurs of disbelief as each revelation layered over the next, complicating the emotional landscape further. Rasheeda's fury remained, but now it was tinged with confusion and hurt, a cocktail of emotions that made her reactions unpredictable and riveting. Even as the night wore on, the drama showed no signs of abatement. Every attempt at calm was met with tension. Every explanation dissected and challenged. Every emotion magnified to cinematic proportions. Fans would later describe the footage as unmissable, a masterclass in reality TV style, tension, and heartbreak, where the smallest gestures and expressions conveyed more than words ever could. The air was thick with unresolved emotions, the room charged with betrayal, and the stakes higher than anyone could have anticipated. Every character's personal conflict intertwined with those of others, creating a network of tension that seemed impossible to untangle, leaving viewers glued to every second of footage, wondering what would happen next, and how Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine would navigate the fallout from a night that had irrevocably changed their lives. The tension carried over from the first confrontation, refusing to dissipate as the night dragged on, and every glance between Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine seemed to add fuel to the already raging fire. Kirk, still reeling from the earlier exchange, tried to compose himself, but the weight of Rasheeda's accusations pressed down relentlessly, making every word he attempted feel hollow and inadequate. Jasmine, meanwhile, hovered on the edge of panic, her nervous energy bouncing off the walls, infecting everyone around her. The family members who had tried to mediate now realized the futility of their efforts. This was no ordinary argument, no casual misunderstanding. It was a full-blown emotional storm that seemed to grow with every passing second. "I trusted you both." Rasheeda's voice broke, teetering between rage and heartbreak, her hands trembling as she gestured wildly. "Everything I believed in, everything I thought was real. And now this." The room fell silent for a moment, the air thick with tension, as Kirk opened his mouth, then closed it again, unable to find the right words to bridge the chasm of anger and betrayal. Jasmine finally managed a shaky voice. "Rasheeda, please. It's complicated, you don't understand." But Rasheeda cut her off, her glare sharp enough to silence the room. "Complicated? This isn't complicated, Jasmine. It's betrayal, plain and simple. And you think words will fix this?" Her questions were more than rhetorical. They were daggers aimed straight at the heart of every secret that had been simmering beneath the surface. Friends and family who had once been spectators now found themselves involuntarily pulled into the maelstrom. Some attempted to intervene, softly suggesting calm, while others whispered among themselves, picking sides as the drama escalated. Tensions that had been simmering quietly for years suddenly erupted, old grudges resurfacing in the heat of Rasheeda's fury. "Enough!" shouted a relative, trying to regain control of the scene. But their voice was lost amid the torrent of accusations, denials, and emotional outbursts. The room became a stage for a reality TV-style spectacle. Raw and unfiltered, every movement and word amplified by the sheer intensity of human emotion. Rasheeda's fury was relentless, and she moved closer to Kirk, her eyes blazing with a mixture of pain and anger. "Look at me," she demanded, her voice shaking. "Do you even see what you've done? Do you understand what this means?" Kirk, caught between his desire to explain and the undeniable truth of her words, could only nod slightly, a silent acknowledgement of the chaos his actions had caused. Jasmine's attempts at defense only made the situation worse, as Rasheeda's attention turned to her with even greater intensity. "And you," she said, pointing, "how could you think this was okay? Do you have any idea what you've just destroyed?" The emotional stakes were higher than ever, and the room seemed to vibrate with the sheer force of the confrontation. Every revelation seemed to trigger another, each layer of emotion peeling back to reveal deeper truths and more combustible tensions. Rasheeda, fueled by a mixture of anger and hurt, began recounting events and moments that she had once ignored, now seeing them in a new, devastating light. "I should have seen it," she exclaimed, her voice breaking. "All the signs were there, and I chose to believe in good intentions, and now I'm paying for it." Kirk's face paled as he realized the magnitude of her words, while Jasmine's posture shifted, a blend of fear and guilt washing over her. The room, once a casual gathering, had transformed into a crucible of human emotion, where every word, glance, and gesture carried the weight of betrayal and heartbreak. Amid the turmoil, other family members began to voice their own perspectives, some expressing shock, others revealing suspicions that had gone unspoken until now. Each comment, each whispered observation, added another layer to the already tangled web of emotions, creating a narrative that was as intricate as it was explosive. "I knew something was off," a cousin finally admitted, the words cutting through the tension. "There were moments that didn't make sense, and now it all adds up." The room collectively shuddered at the revelation, the tension ratcheting higher, the drama intensified by the fact that the family's deepest secrets were now surfacing under the unforgiving glare of raw emotion. As the confrontation stretched on, unexpected twists continued to emerge. A previously silent family member stepped forward, sharing information that neither Rasheeda nor Kirk had anticipated. The revelations struck like lightning, electrifying the room and leaving everyone momentarily stunned. New layers of complexity emerged, connecting past actions, hidden motives, and miscommunications into a tapestry of emotional chaos. Rasheeda's fury remained, but it was now interlaced with confusion, sorrow, and a desperate need for understanding. Kirk, too, felt the weight of the unfolding revelations, realizing that the situation was far beyond a simple explanation or apology. The emotional crescendo reached new heights as Rasheeda's voice, thick with anger and hurt, filled every corner of the room. "You think this is just a mistake?" she yelled. "Do you know how much pain you've caused? How many hearts you've broken?" Kirk's attempts to respond were met with disbelief, while Jasmine's whispered pleas did nothing to soften the storm. Each accusation, each recollection, seemed to magnify the tension, creating a cycle where past grievances were dragged into the present, leaving no space for calm or rational thought. The family, caught in the crossfire, felt the impact deeply. Their own relationships and loyalties now tested in ways they had never imagined. Fans who would later witness the leaked footage described the scene as unrelenting, a masterclass in raw, unscripted drama. Every expression, every movement, every word carried the weight of intense personal stakes, making it impossible to look away. The confrontations were punctuated by moments of silence that spoke louder than words, the pauses filled with unsaid truths, unspoken accusations, and the shared knowledge that nothing would ever be the same. Rasheeda's rage and sorrow dominated the room, a force of nature that consumed all attempts at mediation, leaving viewers and family alike caught in the whirlwind of emotion and drama. As the night wore on, the drama evolved further. New revelations emerged from long-hidden messages and overheard conversations, each one adding fuel to the already raging fire. Rasheeda's fury was tempered by moments of reflection, as she processed not just the betrayal but also the complex web of relationships that had led to this explosive night. Kirk, realizing the depth of the situation, began to understand that simple apologies would never suffice, and Jasmine's fear and guilt remained palpable, a constant reminder of the stakes. The room, thick with tension, became a living, breathing stage where emotions collided, alliances shifted, and every participant was forced to confront truths they had long avoided. And just when it seemed the storm might begin to subside, a final twist sent shockwaves through everyone present. A message, a revelation, or perhaps an unintended comment exposed a new layer of complexity, reigniting the tension and leaving no room for resolution. Rasheeda's reaction was immediate, a mixture of anger, hurt, and disbelief, as she demanded answers and accountability. Kirk, overwhelmed by the cascading revelations, struggled to maintain composure, while Jasmine's anxious energy reached new heights. Her fear of Rasheeda's wrath, mirrored by the growing uncertainty among family members. The drama, far from over, had become a spectacle of human emotion, unpredictable and gripping, a whirlwind that threatened to engulf everyone in its path. The room had transformed into a battlefield of emotion, each corner echoing with the remnants of Rasheeda's fury and the lingering tension that refused to dissipate. Kirk, still reeling from the relentless accusations, tried to piece together the fragments of explanation that might ease the storm, but every attempt seemed only to inflame it further. Jasmine. Family members, once tentative, grew louder as old suspicions resurfaced. Alliances shifted, and the emotional stakes climbed even higher. The drama, already intense, showed no signs of relenting, every heartbeat and breath seemingly magnifying the chaos in the room. Unexpectedly, a phone buzzed on the side table, breaking the rhythm of heated exchanges. Kirk reached for it instinctively, hoping for a brief distraction, but the screen displayed a message that would escalate the tension further. Screenshots, texts, and images that exposed past interactions. Unseen by Rasheeda until this moment, her eyes widened, her breath catching in her throat as the revelations confirmed some of her darkest fears. "So this is what you were hiding?" she demanded, her voice trembling with anger and disbelief. Kirk swallowed hard, the weight of the evidence pressing down on him, while Jasmine's face paled, realizing the night had taken an unexpected, devastating turn. The family, sensing the shift in energy, moved closer, their whispers buzzing like static electricity. As each new piece of information layered complexity onto an already explosive situation, old rivalries were reignited, grievances long buried surged to the surface, and the emotional landscape shifted in real time. Rasheeda, feeling both vindicated and heartbroken, took a step back, only to step forward again with renewed intensity, her every movement charged with emotion. Kirk's attempts at explanation became more desperate, each word struggling to bridge the chasm of hurt, while Jasmine oscillated between pleading and defensive, trapped in the storm of raw emotion she had inadvertently intensified. Suddenly, a quiet member of the family, previously unnoticed in the heated exchange, spoke up, their voice calm yet firm. "Everyone needs to stop and think," they said, attempting to inject reason into the chaos, but their words fell largely on deaf ears. Rasheeda's gaze snapped to them, her fury momentarily redirected, her eyes searching for any semblance of understanding or support. Kirk, meanwhile, shifted uncomfortably, realizing that the entire household had now become a stage for his actions and their consequences. Jasmine's hands trembled, and a low murmur of agreement rippled through a few family members, hinting at cracks in the previously unshakable tension. The night's revelations were far from over. Old messages, forgotten encounters, and private conversations that had seemed innocuous now carried a sinister weight. Rasheeda's mind raced, connecting dots, piecing together patterns that had once eluded her, and with every revelation, her anger and sorrow intensified. "I can't believe I didn't see this sooner," she muttered under her breath, almost to herself, a mixture of regret and shock echoing in her tone. Kirk's shoulders slumped, the exhaustion of defending himself evident, while Jasmine's anxiety reached a fever pitch, her attempts at explanation faltering in the face of overwhelming evidence and emotion. As the confrontation stretched into hours, emotions cycled between fury, grief, and moments of fragile clarity. Rasheeda's accusations grew more pointed, her words sharper, cutting through every pretense, leaving only raw emotion in their wake. Kirk, struggling to maintain composure, realized that nothing short of complete honesty could begin to mend the fractured trust. While Jasmine's fear and remorse were palpable, each moment a testament to the escalating stakes, family members whispered and gestured, caught between curiosity and caution. As the drama evolved into something bigger than anyone could have anticipated, the climax of this chapter of the night arrived when Rasheeda, tears streaming down her face, demanded to see every message, every exchange, every secret that had been hidden from her. Kirk, knowing resistance was futile, reluctantly began to reveal the truth in fragments, each disclosure intensifying the emotional storm. Jasmine's attempts at justification and mitigation faltered under the relentless scrutiny, and the family watched, rapt, as secrets unraveled in real time. The intensity of the confrontation, the rawness of emotion, and the unpredictability of each response created a dynamic that was as gripping as it was devastating, leaving everyone, including the viewers who would later see the leaked footage, on the edge of their seats, wondering what twist might come next. And even as some moments of calm threatened to surface, new revelations, past grievances, and unexpected confessions kept the storm alive. Rasheeda's fury and heartbreak remained potent forces. Kirk's desperation for understanding collided with reality, and Jasmine's anxiety painted every scene with tension. The room, thick with emotion, became a living testament to the complexity of human relationships, betrayal, and the cascading consequences of hidden truths finally surfacing under the glare of unrelenting scrutiny. Every heartbeat, every glance, every tremor of emotion amplified the drama, ensuring that the night's events would be remembered and dissected by family, friends and fans alike for a long time to come. The revelations continued to unfold with an intensity that seemed almost unbearable, each moment building upon the last, leaving Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine locked in a cycle of accusation, explanation, and raw emotion. Kirk, exhausted from the relentless questioning, tried once again to explain himself, his voice shaky but determined. "Rasheeda, you have to understand, it wasn't intentional," he pleaded, desperation creeping into his tone. "I never wanted you to see this, to feel this way." But Rasheeda's glare cut him off instantly, sharp and unyielding. "Not intentional," she repeated incredulously, her voice rising. "Do you think that excuses months of secrecy, of lies, of pretending everything was fine, while it clearly wasn't?" Every word struck like a hammer, and the room seemed to vibrate with the weight of her anger. Jasmine, feeling the intensity of Rasheeda's gaze, tried to interject, her voice small and nervous. I didn't mean for this to happen, I thought," but Rasheeda waved her off, frustration and disbelief evident in her every gesture. You thought? This isn't about what you thought, Jasmine. This is about the reality of what you've done, the people you've hurt, the trust you've destroyed." The family members, who had been silently observing, now found themselves drawn in, some whispering to each other. Others simply watching in stunned silence as the confrontation reached new heights. The tension was almost tangible, thick enough to choke on, each heartbeat syncing with the mounting drama. As the night progressed, old grievances resurfaced, each one adding another layer to the already complex web of emotion. Rasheeda recalled moments she had once brushed aside, now seeing them as glaring signs of betrayal. All those times you were vague, all those times you disappeared without explanation. I ignored them because I trusted you, she said, her voice trembling with both rage and hurt. Kirk's face paled as he heard her words, realizing that the damage went far beyond what he had initially imagined. Jasmine's anxiety grew, her hands fidgeting, as the emotional storm continued to intensify around her. Unexpectedly, another family member, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. Their voice calm, yet firm, cutting through the chaos. "Everyone needs to hear the full story before passing judgment," they said. The words caused a brief pause, the intensity of the moment shifting slightly as all eyes turned toward them. Rasheeda's glare softened for a moment, but her voice remained steady. "The full story?" she asked, suspicion laced with curiosity. "I'm listening, but you better be honest." Kirk, sensing a possible opening, nodded, hoping that this intervention might finally allow him to explain the situation in a way that could be understood, even partially forgiven. The narrative that unfolded was filled with hidden truths, long-held secrets, and confessions that left everyone reeling. Kirk revealed conversations and interactions that he had hoped would never see the light of day, each one a potential flashpoint for further conflict. Jasmine, meanwhile, struggled to maintain composure, realizing that her involvement had far greater consequences than she had imagined. Rasheeda listened, her emotions cycling rapidly between anger, disbelief, and the painful recognition of betrayal. The room felt like a pressure cooker, every revelation adding another degree of heat, threatening to explode at any moment. As the hours went by, the emotional intensity did not wane. Every attempt at explanation, every plea for understanding, was met with a mixture of skepticism, disbelief, and renewed anger. Rasheeda's voice grew stronger, more determined, as she demanded accountability and honesty. "I don't just want an explanation," she said, her words slicing through the room. "I want the truth, every detail, no matter how hard it is to hear. Because this isn't just about feelings, it's about trust, respect, and the reality of what you've done." Kirk swallowed hard, understanding the gravity of her demand. While Jasmine's nervous energy became almost palpable, her anxiety feeding off the tension that seemed impossible to dissipate. The family, now fully involved, began to offer their own observations and memories, each adding another layer of complexity to the already tangled situation. Whispered comments, sideways glances, and subtle gestures spoke volumes, revealing alliances, doubts, and loyalties that had been hidden until now. Rasheeda, fueled by the combined force of personal betrayal and family involvement, seemed almost unstoppable, her determination to uncover the truth matching the intensity of her fury. Kirk, realizing that denial or half-truths would no longer suffice, began to offer full explanations, while Jasmine, though fearful, tried to support his narrative without further inflaming Rasheeda's wrath. Suddenly, a new piece of information surfaced, a message or interaction previously unknown to Rasheeda, but now undeniable. Her eyes widened, her body stiffened, and the room seemed to hold its breath as the revelation sank in. "So this is true too?" she asked, her voice low but seething. Kirk nodded reluctantly, the weight of honesty pressing down on him, while Jasmine's hand shook as she realized the escalating consequences of their actions. The emotional energy in the room intensified, every glance, every whisper, every movement magnified by the revelation, creating a drama that seemed unstoppable, a force that refused to be contained. As the confrontation entered its later stages, the cyclical nature of emotion became apparent, anger giving way to reflection, reflection giving way to renewed fury, and sorrow threading through every moment. Rasheeda's voice softened at times, almost reflective, only to surge again with accusation and demand. Kirk's attempts at calm explanation were met with mixed reactions, while Jasmine's anxiety and guilt remained a constant, unrelenting presence. Family members shifted in their positions, some attempting to mediate, others quietly observing, all aware that the night's events would leave a lasting mark on the family dynamic. Fans who later viewed the leaked footage described the scene as relentless, a masterclass in heightened reality TV-style emotion. Every expression, every subtle shift in posture, every word dripping with intensity kept viewers glued, analyzing each moment for clues, motivations, and emotional impact. The tension in the room became almost cinematic, the interplay of anger, betrayal, guilt, and desperation creating a narrative that felt both uncomfortably real and irresistibly compelling. As the night wore on, it became clear that the events unfolding were far more than a personal dispute. They were a full-scale emotional revelation, a spectacle of raw human feeling, and a dramatic turning point that none involved would ever forget. Even as the hours slipped past, new revelations and unexpected confessions continued to emerge, ensuring that the drama remained at a fever pitch. Rasheeda's anger, though sometimes tempered by reflection, never fully subsided. Kirk's attempts at repair became more desperate yet sincere, while Jasmine's anxiety highlighted the intense stakes of the night. Every participant was forced to confront the consequences of past actions, hidden truths, and emotional complexities that had been carefully masked until now. The room, thick with tension and unspoken emotion, became a crucible for revelation, confrontation, and the raw, unfiltered human drama that would define the night and captivate every viewer who would later witness the explosive footage. And just like that, the night's events leave us all stunned, questioning loyalties, motivations, and the very nature of trust. Rasheeda's explosive confrontation, Kirk's desperate attempts to explain, and Jasmine's anxious turmoil have created a whirlwind of drama that fans cannot stop talking about. Every twist, every revelation, every moment of heartbreak and anger has been captured in the leaked footage, making it impossible to look away. The family is left divided, emotions raw, and relationships forever altered. While fans continue to speculate, will there be reconciliation, or is this the beginning of a complete fallout? The tension, the heartbreak, and the suspense remain unresolved, keeping everyone on edge, waiting for the next chapter of this reality-shattering story. Now, it's your turn to weigh in. What do you think will happen next? Can Rasheeda forgive Kirk and Jasmine, or has trust been broken beyond repair? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, share your theories, and let us know which side you're on. If you've been shocked by Rasheeda's explosive reaction and the family drama, hit that like button to show your support for keeping up with every twist and turn. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss a moment of the drama as it continues to unfold. This story isn't over, and the next shocking reveal could happen at any moment. Stay tuned, stay alert, and stay engaged, because in this family, nothing is ever simple, and every secret has a consequence. Your voice matters, your opinion matters, and together, we'll witness every twist, every tear, and every shocking moment of this unforgettable drama.